opera makes headlines with a performance that didn't happen. Or at least soprano Maria Callas refused to carry on after the first act. Arriving before the overture, here's Maria looking fine. And to listen to her sing Bellini's Norma, a glittering audience had gathered. The stars of the Italian screen, like Anna Magnani, quite a fiery character herself when she wants to be, and Silvana Pampanini. American society hostess Elsa Maxwell must be thinking that this almost equals one of her own fabulous parties. A fashion parade straight out of Who's Who, with enough material to keep the glossy magazines happy for weeks. You don't know whether to look at dresses or faces, though some faces you can't miss, of course. 3,000 people, from artists to aristocrats, from dancers to diplomats. As brilliant a first night audience as the Eternal City has ever seen. All here to listen to Maria Meneghini Callas, soprano. To crown the occasion, the President of the Italian Republic himself, Signor Giovanni Gronchi. But even the President has to be content with one act only. Then Maria Callas says she doesn't feel well. So as not to disappoint you too, our cameraman dropped in on a rehearsal. Perhaps he had a premonition what would happen on the night. As you can hear, Maria's voice was perfect. Maria has been known to walk out before, so if you want to be sure of hearing her, don't get all dressed up. Just go to a rehearsal. She usually stays to the end of those.
Miss Callas, why have you come over so suddenly?
Well, I don't think I've come over suddenly at all. I came here for this concert, which will take place at the St. James Palace, and it's for the Mountbatten Trust. And it isn't quite sudden.
In which
Didn't
you're
you
singing...
expect me?
Well, I don't think many people did.
Why?
You seem to have arrived very quietly this time.
I usually try to arrive quietly.
Well, you're singing with Sir Malcolm Sargent, aren't you? He's accompanying you on the piano.
Yes, and with Yehudi Menuhin.
So I assume that Sir Malcolm is one conductor with whom you're on very good terms.
I am always on best terms with all conductors. I wouldn't like this to go ahead.
No.
In fact, a lot of unfair things have been said about Maria. Her cancellation record was not as the world believed it to be at all. She cancelled relatively rarely. She was too much of a professional to be cancelling. But equally, it was this whole question with her of whether or not she actually felt the chemistry was right to enable her to give the standard of performance that she thought she ought to be giving, because she had no desire to shortchange the public, and she had no desire to shortchange herself. And she was always determined, when she got out on that stage, to give the public, state it crudely, value for money. She was going to say, here I am, and this is how I perform and how I sing. And if she felt she was going to be a notch or two below what she regarded as her high standards, then you could be in difficulties with her.
Born fighter, not out of necessity, or rather not out of love of fight, because I loathe fighting. I'm sick to the stomach after it. But if I have to defend myself, I have that much pride to say, well, there's no way out. Go ahead and defend yourself. I thought I would become great, to be able to have freedom of movement, in other words, stability, happiness, to be able to perform better under the best circumstances, under the best mental frame of mind, and all that. Well, it was a lie. It's not true. The more famous you become, the more difficult things are. And it's freedom of the press and none of our freedom. Do I have freedom? I can't justify myself. I cannot live a normal life. It's a long, lonely life.
At the height of her career, everything was going great for her. She was one of the most famous women in the world. But there was this, what would you call it, fatal flaw that you find in classic Greek tragedy. Up until this time, it had been all work and no play. She had had love from Meneghini, her husband, or you might better say security. But with her great weight loss, she had turned herself into a very glamorous, sexy woman. And for the first time, Maria, the woman, wanted real fulfillment. It was just at this crucial moment in her life that she fell in love. But the man she fell in love with was a shady character. He was a man who collected famous women. It's rumored that he had paid $10,000 for one night with Eva Peron. And he wanted to collect Callas. She was willing to be collected. After all, this was the period in which Maria, the woman, wanted to be on an equal footing with Callas, the artist.